Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Trades Talk with your host, Pop. And on this stream, we take a look at the world through the lens of an industrial point of view. We'll check out and see what's going on in the world today, seeing whether there's going to be more layoffs, if there's going to be more facilities being built, what is going on out there. Who's spending money, who's cutting back. Then we'll take a look at some articles on shortage in the skilled trades and what's being done about it. Then after that, we'll move along to a bit of accident investigation. I'll also have some pictures and videos of things I've been working on. So as you know, everyone likes picture time. And I'll even have a few, if anyone is interested, there is some information on how to get started in the skilled trades. We'll see who shows up. Anyways, I'm glad you're here, and let's get to some of the news out there, courtesy of Plant Magazine. There we go. One little news item that caught my eye was Fanuc America announces $90 million investment to expand the U.S. robot manufacturing capacity. Now, is this building them or putting them into use? Let's see here. Fanuc America has announced plans to invest $90 million to acquire property and construct a new 840,000 square foot facility in Michigan to support the potential expansion of its U.S.-based robot manufacturing operations. Okay. According to the company, the facility will provide production-ready space to expand existing manufacturing capabilities for robots and is targeted for completion in late 2027. The project is expected to add approximately 225 jobs and expand Fanuc America's engineering and advanced manufacturing capacity to meet growing demand for automation solutions across North America, including physical AI, virtual commissioning, and digital twin technologies. I don't know if I like virtual commissioning. That's usually I want to have somebody right there at whatever is being commissioned. That's startup, when they start up something. Hey, what's up, Godzillionaire? You thought Fanuc was a Japanese company when you had to install one of their machines that got shipped over from Japan like a kaiju? It came stomping through your area? Yeah, it's Fanuc US, or it's a Fanuc America, so maybe it's a subsidiary. I'd have to have a deeper dive and have a look. But they're talking about investing and building a new facility for robots. This investment builds on Fanuc America's Michigan manufacturing footprint, which has included producing robots for paint application domestically for more than 4 decades, said Mike Chico, president and CEO of Fanuc America, in a press release. By expanding its U.S. presence, Fanuc America will strengthen domestic manufacturing, improve responsiveness to customer needs, and support industries that rely on automation to stay competitive. The company said the announcement brings Fanuc America's total U.S. investment since 2019 to nearly $300 million, increasing its footprint to about 3 million square feet and creating more than 700 jobs. Seco also pointed out to workforce development as part of the company's broader manufacturing strategy. Fanuc America is committed to supporting U.S. reindustrialization by delivering state-of-the-art automation technologies to customers and broadening access to advanced manufacturing workplace training services, he said. The company noted that its expanded Fanuc Academy, scheduled to open later this year in Auburn Hills, Michigan, will focus on robotics and automation skills training. I.e., the robots are going to take away your overpaid union jobs. Yeah, if there's a market for it, it seems to me there's spending a lot of money to make a place that builds robots for other companies, so there must be a demand. All right, well, that's that one. Let's check what else we've got here. Tariff hit industry struggling as trade war drags into second year. Let's see what they're going to whine about now. From rolled steel to kitchen cabinets, Canadian businesses hit by targeted U.S. tariffs are struggling to respond as the trade war drags into its second year. While most exports continue to flow tariff-free under the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, industries like metal production, lumber, and automobiles continue to face steep duties more than a year after U.S. President Donald Trump upended the global status quo. Companies have cut staff, pulled back on production, and pushed for government action as the heavy duties continue to shake the crucial and long-standing trade relationship with the U.S. Skip the Colt article. Hey, what's up, DJ Ronnie G? How you doing, DJ? Getting home, are you? Just funny that Canadian politicians want to go door to door to grab guns now. Yeah, you know what they can do? They can go pound sand. You don't come around, go door to door and grab the things that people have paid for legally and have owned legally. Go around to go to the criminals and do that instead. Maybe take away their guns. Take Daniel Drapeau, CEO of Quebec-based custom cabinet maker Miralles. His company has invested $43 million since 2022 and as it built 2 plants with plenty of automation to boost productivity. But like so many others in the industry, it's now operating well below capacity. The problem, like the other sectors hit by the Section 232 tariffs, is not only the loss of the U.S. market, but that all the other countries blocked from the world's largest economy are also looking for buyers, leading many to try and sell more into Canada. We were ready to grow after all those crises, Drapeau said in an interview, citing the COVID-19 pandemic, interest rates, and inflation. And now we're being hit by the fact there is a surge. There's too much product coming from other countries. To respond to the twin threats of headwinds in exports and increased imports, cabinet makers in Canada have teamed up with wood flooring and furniture makers to form the Canada Wood Products Alliance. The group is pushing the government to introduce barriers to foreign competitors sending goods into the country. Drapeau says the action is needed because most of the members of the alliance have had to significantly cut back on operations. The manufacturers in Canada are running at maybe 50% of their capacity, which is the strict minimum to stay alive. The federal government announced on March 13th that it is reviewing a request from the alliance for safeguard measures. Like the government's going to listen. Yeah, their mandate is to destroy businesses in the country, so don't expect any help. The review comes after the sector was hit by 25% tariffs in October, and was set for a further rise to 50% in January until the Trump administration backed down at the last minute. Other sectors like steel, which have faced tariffs since March last year, have already seen the government work to crack down on imports, especially those originating in China, in several rounds of increasingly strict limits. So wait, they're complaining about U.S. tariffs and want Canadian government to put in tariffs? Sounds like it. Protectionism is what they call it. I'm sure that, but I'm sure the government will just ignore them and not do anything to help them. Like I said before, it's the government's mandate to destroy the middle class and make people suffer. It's gonna be neo-feudalism, and we're gonna be the serfs. So that's what they're aiming for. The latest restrictions only went into place on December 26th, so it's still too early to tell how well they're working, said Catherine Cobden, CEO of the Canadian Steel Producers Association, but she said there's no doubt the help is needed. They frankly have had a significant impact on the Canadian industry. Thousands of jobs lost, loss of production, and significant drop in our shipments to the United States. A very, very challenging year. In December, Canadian steel exports to the U.S. were down 50% from a year earlier, she said. Funny how protectionism is only bad when the U.S. does it. Yeah, exactly, Godzilla. You look forward to the surf culture mechanic. Hi, it's surf culture mechanic here. Now I'm going to teach you how to eat straw and how to make stuff out of straw, because that's all that's available. Yeah, it's pretty horrendous. Next up, how to do self-dentistry. With this article here, every month we see further drops, and that's a direct reflection of just the loss of what market access due to tariffs. Some of the effects are being felt this week in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, where Algoma Steel Incorporated is starting to lay off upwards of 1,000 workers. The job cuts are part of a long-planned shift to more efficient equipment, but the company accelerated the plans because of tariffs. Also because they probably wanted to save money and cut jobs. Some companies have managed to avoid or reduce layoffs through the use of government initiatives like work-share programs, which allow companies to keep workers on reduced hours and have employment insurance help make up the difference. So the government is paying for the people to stay working. Drapeau said they're being widely used in the wood products industries, while Cobden said she thinks the steel sector is the largest user of the program, in part to avoid longer-term effects. If we lose our workers, will we ever get them back? And so people are really working hard to try to keep workers in place. The work-share programs, along with the time it takes to unwind contracts and supply chains, help explain why the effects aren't even more pronounced on these sectors already, though some cracks are starting to show. The auto parts sector is one of the hardest hit. Statistics Canada reported that there were 64,828 auto workers employed on the parts side as of December, down 9.5% from a year earlier. The drop is despite manufacturing employment as a whole growing slightly last year, showing how specific sectors are bearing the brunt, said Claire Fan, senior economist at RBC. RBC is just a bank, the Royal Bank of Canada. Because of the way that these tariffs are imposed, 5 to 6 key manufacturing subsectors are really hurting versus the rest of the economy. You gotta love that. They want to make. They don't use big words to describe. It's like it's really hurting. That's some pretty good vocabulary you have there. And some have been hurting for a while. The softwood lumber industry was hit by harsh duties back in 2017, which Trump has since added to, resulting in production down over 25% since the first round, she noted. The result is 22 mills closed since 2022 and another 50 reduced operations. The federal government said as it announced further industry supports last November. While production and job cuts are some of the most obvious impacts, fans said that the uncertainty around trade will also mean less investment and less help for Canada's wider productivity problems. There's not going to be a huge amount of new investment flowing into these sectors just because the outlook a decade ahead is perhaps not that optimistic. That uncertainty is also leading to fewer orders in the near term. While kitchen cabinets didn't get hit by double tariffs, the potential alone creates its own problem. We're still under this threat of adding 50%, said Drapeau. I believe that the Americans are seeing this as a risk to order from Canada because of this possible increase. He said that while there have already been impacts, worse could be yet to come. Hundreds of jobs have been lost and thousands in work share, and there will be more, unfortunately, in the next few months or years if we can't find solutions. Isn't that what we have think tanks for? People that can come up with ideas to help them out, but obviously you guys did not do any kind of planning to think ahead and protect your business. Oh that's what you're talking about, Godzillionaire. Colt Canada awarded federal contract to replace CAF assault rifle fleet. So this must be for the armed forces. Colt Canada has been awarded a federal contract to replace the Canadian Armed Forces' current assault rifle fleet, marking a significant defense manufacturing investment in Ontario. Of course it's in Ontario. Think tanks? You mean CIA operatives? Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's just, that's probably true. According to a March 19th press release from Public Services and Procurement Canada, the Defence Investment Agency has awarded Colt Canada, based in Kitchener, Ontario, a contract under the Canadian modular assault rifle program to acquire up to 65,402 assault rifle systems. The project will be delivered in 2 phases. Phase 1 includes the procurement of 30,000 general service rifles over a 3-year period, with an estimated value of approximately $307 million, including applicable taxes. An optional second phase expected to begin in year 4 would include the procurement of an additional 19,207 general service rifles and 16,195 full-spectrum rifles, along with associated ancillaries. The new rifles will replace the CAF's existing C7 and C8 assault rifles, which have been in service for more than 35 years. The project also includes system integration and engineering support, the government said. 65,402, is that converted to a metric from an even number? That makes sense. I don't know how they came up with that number. Is that for how many people are in whatever division or whichever army section of the forces they're in? I don't know. Federal officials said the contract is expected to strengthen Canada's defense industrial base and deliver broader economic benefits. The government estimates the project will contribute approximately $10 million annually to Canada's GDP over the next 5 years. Colt Canada is committed to ensuring at least 80% of Canadian content, creating opportunities for domestic suppliers across the country, according to the release. The contract forms part of the first wave of high-priority defense procurements being implemented through the Defense Investment Agency, part of Canada's defense industrial strategy, which aims to align procurement with long-term industrial capacity and supply chain development. Modern rifle means proprietary ammo and other BS we can gouge the government. Yeah, it seems like when the government is going to order stuff, it's like, well, time to tack on 50% more because it's the government. All right, let's check out here what's going on. Canada's facing emergency level productivity problem. Canadian manufacturers and exporters respond to key measures in Ontario's 2026 budget. Ontario's budget. I don't care about Ontario's budget. I really don't. As soon as Alberta stops paying transfer payments to the rest of Canada, Ontario's budget is going to go down the toilet. And that goes for Quebec too. As from what I've been hearing is we have enough signatures to force the referendum so that we can separate and be our own nation. Can't be using that stuff with the patents that ran out. Yeah, exactly. Why use something that's readily available and cheap when you can go for stuff that's proprietary and expensive? Okay, well, let's see what this emergency level is, or whether they're just using a bunch of hyperbole. Alberta needs to secede? Yeah, we do, Godzillionaire, and I'm all for it. We got to wait till October, though. If they've got enough signatures to force a referendum, the referendum will be in October. So we got to wait for a while. I mean, it's going to be April tomorrow, so April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We got 7 months to wait. Canada's facing an emergency level productivity problem characterized by a 0.9% increase in labor productivity over the last decade, reported the Information and Communications Technology Council in their Digital Economy Pulse Digital Adoption in Canada report. Just don't name yourself Alberta-stan. The U.S. will invade if you... Yeah. They're going to democratize the crap out of us if we named ourselves that. What? We better go impose democracy over there. What's that? You have oil? I think we need a little bit of regime change. You guys are suffering there. We're going to come and free your oil. I mean, people. This drop in productivity is attributed to SMEs lagging in adoption of advanced technologies, including Internet of Things, AI, big data analytics, and cloud computing. To me, this is nothing. Small and medium businesses shouldn't worry about adopting the Internet of Things, or AI, or big data analytics, or cloud computing. Nobody cares about that except people the government and stuff who want, and big companies that want this. The suppliers of these things, they want all this. They want companies to adopt it, but it's no. You're fine the way you are. You don't have to have Internet of Things. You don't have to have AI. Barriers to this adoption include lack of awareness, high initial investment costs, unclear return on investment, and insufficient access to skilled workers, with large companies far more likely to introduce these technologies in the face of these pain points. It probably just ram it down their throat. If BlackRock tells them to adopt it, they're going to do it. As Canada looks to the next 5 years, critical steps will include intensifying digital adoption rates, integrating advanced digital technologies across traditional sectors, investing in talent supply, and developing the workforce. Canada currently ranks second to last in productivity amount in G7, with real wages remaining 2.4% lower than they were before the pandemic, and projections for 2030 and 2060 ranking Canada last among the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development member countries. The country sits just below the OECD average for the adoption of cloud computing and IoT technologies, and according to a 2023 reporting, has the lowest proportion of businesses that have adopted big data analytics. I say good. Good. You don't really need it. There is no going to be any return on investment. You're going to sink a bunch of money into nothing. Advanced manufacturing, however, represents a bright spot on the Canadian report card. The industry, which employs 1.79 million people across Canada and produces 60% of the country's exported goods, invests heavily in R&D and has seen an increase in technology adoption, with 74.9% of companies reporting they had adopted at least one advanced technology in 2022, up from 69.9% in 2014. An interviewee from an aerospace-focused metal manufacturing company noted, "We try to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to our use of new technologies, especially on the AI front. We've been developing an AI model to replace our quality monitoring." Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. You want AI to replace quality monitoring. Yeah, I don't... if you guys don't see a problem with that, and... is it just so that you have something to blame the mistakes on? Oh, well, the AI made the mistake in the quality. So I don't like that one bit. Despite this growth, the report calls for continued increased investment in advanced technologies to enhance awareness across the Canadian economy and spur increased tool adoption. Yeah, no, we don't need to. It's not necessary. All these companies that make this stuff obviously are going to push it. And no, we don't need it. All right, well, that's enough of that news. Let's move along to some articles here that I found. This one is from Contractor Magazine. The skilled trades labor shortage isn't a recruiting problem, it's a clarity problem. Okay. The biggest workforce problem in the trades isn't recruiting, it's clarity. Young people know the trades exist. What they don't know is what their life looks like if they say yes. I watched it happen again last week. A student at a trades career event asked a contractor a simple question. Okay, but what happens after year 1? The room went quiet, not because people didn't care, not because they didn't want to help, but because there was no clear answer, no timeline, no pay progression, no real picture of what doing well actually looks like in that company. Well, actually, if you're an apprentice, it's spelled out for you pretty well. At least in Canada it is. You start your first year, you rack up your hours, you do things related to your trade. You make sure you keep track of those hours, write them down. Then you go to school. At first, you earn 60% of journeyman rate. Then you go to school for your 8 weeks or however long it is. You learn and you pass. And when you come back to work, you get a raise. And now you're a first year or you're a second year. You earn 70% of journeyman rate. So it works like that. Collect your hours. Make sure you document them. You get a blue book, where it's your apprentice book, And you keep track of your hours and what you're learning in that book. You get it signed by a journeyman. You send it off to the apprenticeship board to get stamped, and you're good. And you do that for each year. Working, collecting hours, keeping a track of it in your logbook, going to school, passing, coming back, you get a raise. It's 10% each time. So there is a clear pathway. But let's see what they're going on about here. So the student moved on, not because he was lazy, not because he didn't want to work hard, but because uncertainty feels risky, and this generation weighs that differently than the ones before it. I recently spoke with a young man who completed trade school for plumbing. He did everything right, showed up, earned his credentials, started applying, but company after company told him they wanted 3 to 5 years of experience. That'll change as they go along, and there's going to be not as many tradesmen available. All of a sudden, companies will be like, "Well, we'll take 1 year of experience. Well, we'll take on somebody with no experience and we'll train you." It'll happen. You'll see. An industry that says it needs workers is turning away someone who already raised his hand. I get it. Contractors have been burned. You invest in someone, train them for months, and they leave for $1 more an hour. Well, if you treat them right, they won't leave you. If you're a jerk or if you're ignorant about stuff, then yeah, of course they're going to look for a better place to work. But the lack of clear path doesn't reduce that risk. It increases it. People leave confusion faster than they leave hard work. Clarity doesn't guarantee someone will stay, but the lack of clarity almost guarantees they won't. I see this pattern everywhere. On job sites, in classrooms, on stages across the country. It's not always a recruiting failure. More often, it's a clarity failure. The workforce is shrinking fast. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. employs roughly 500,000 plumbers, pipe fitters, and steam fitters, with about 44,000 openings each year, many driven by retirements. The Associated Builders and Contractors estimates the industry will need roughly 439,000 additional workers in 2025 alone. This must be an older article because it's already 2026. The workforce is also aging. More than 1 in 5 tradesmen are over 55, and a large share of those annual openings are simply replacing people leaving the field. And the money is there. The median wage for plumbers, pipe fitters, and steam fitters is around $63,000. Ooh, that's good. With top earners clearing $100,000 or more. Nice. But none of those numbers matter to a 19-year-old standing at a career fair booth. What they want to know is simple. What happens to me if I say yes? Through my work with Explore the Trades, the Skilled Trades Advisory Council, and more than 100 plus in-depth conversations on my podcast, The Lost Art of the Skilled Trades, I've had a front row seat for this conversation for years. What I've seen is that companies holding on to people aren't the ones spending the most on recruiting. They're the ones that can answer a few basic questions when a young person walks through the door. Most contractors I talk to aren't avoiding this. They're running jobs, managing crews, and putting out fires. The path usually exists. It's just in the owner's head, not written down anywhere a new hire can see it. Most companies don't have this clearly mapped out. That's not a failure. It's just never been focused until now, or never been forced. The 5 questions every contractor should be ready to answer. In every conversation I've had with young people, considering the trades, their decision comes down to 5 things: purpose, expectation, pay transparency, clarity, and mentorship. They want to know why the work matters, what's expected of them, what they'll earn and how it grows, where the path leads, and who's going to help them get there. To be clear, this isn't about lowering the bar. It's about making the bar visible. Here are the 5 questions I hear most often. What role do I start in, and what does that day 1 actually look like? Not the 10-year vision, the first Monday. Tell them who they'll work alongside and what their first real task will be. Specificity beats inspiration every time. Well, I can speak to that. If I had an apprentice start with me, they'd know exactly what they're going to do when they come in the morning. It's like, okay, first thing, get here early. Don't show up 5 minutes before the buzzer goes. Don't show up at the start time. Show up 15 to 20 minutes early so you can get changed, get ready, and just ease into your day. If you're late or on time, you're like panicked, and the management's looking at you like, why is this guy arriving when we're starting? He should be here earlier. Godzilla, you spent many a week documenting what you know at work, stuff you had to figure out for yourself. And as you tell people, if I win the lottery, you're not going to know what to do. That's it, too. Made a bunch of spreadsheets. I've made a lot of stuff that wasn't there before. My predecessor wasn't very computer savvy. He could navigate around, but I made up a lot of Excel sheets and stuff to make my job easier. And yeah, if I win the lottery and I'm gone, it's like, well, here you guys go. You can use all this stuff. So I've been doing the same thing. Odds are I'm not going to win the lottery, but, you never know what happens out there. But yeah, the first thing I would tell my apprentice who is starting, get here early, get changed, and you get ready to go. Because then you're going to follow me around. You're going to be my shadow. You're going to learn how to do things. Yeah, you'll learn how to repair things, but you're also going to learn how to order things, how to price things out. You're going to learn how to troubleshoot, which is absolutely the hardest thing to teach someone. It's a skill that you need years and years. Troubleshooting is. If you can do troubleshooting well, your job will be very easy. If you're a terrible troubleshooter, you're going to make a lot of work for yourself. Show your dedication by rushing to heavy machinery with the wrong lockout tagout chart without having coffee. Oh, come on now, DJ. You're not allowed to run. No running. Walk briskly. When I become Secretary of State of Alberta Stan, they'll be in trouble. I want to be the ambassador to the U.S. How about that? That would be a nice job. And I could come and visit you guys. The next question. That was just the first question. The second question. What do I earn in year 1, 2, 3? Pay varies by region, trade, and company, but depends. But it depends with no follow-up sounds like you haven't thought about it. Even a range with honest context builds more. And you can learn what the industry average is for whatever trade you're in. You'd be like, oh, well, what's the pay look like? Okay, well, and most companies will spell it out for you. And if you're in a union company, it's going to be in your collective bargaining agreement. And there's no changing that. It's like, this is what you earn per hour, and this is what it will be the next year, and this is what it will be the next year. And if you're an apprentice, you're going to earn 60% of that if you're a first year. And it's all spelled out. You got one heck of a troubleshooting story for this week you can't share on stream. Oh no. Discord, Godzillionaire. Throw it in the old Discord there. Should give me a good laugh, right? So when they say earnings, so we can go over here to Alberta ALIS or ALICE, and you can plan your career in the trades. What the trade options are, and no matter what trade you pick, you can see what the average salary is going to be. There's a whole bunch of getting started with the registered apprenticeship program, apprenticeship education, opportunities for Indigenous people. Speaking of which, where's Fabric at? Looking for old Fabric Folds. I hope he's all right. He's probably out there doing some veterinary stuff. Yeah, we can pick. You can pick a trade, and then you can actually see. And this one will help. This even helps you to find what kind of trade you want. This is all for Canada, though. I don't know if you guys have the sort of thing in the US, but yeah, there's There's a lot of information out there. Then you have your apprenticeship and industry training website. So, if, they have a bunch of stuff. Becoming a start in high school, sponsor an apprentice. You're sure Fabric is arm deep into something tonight? He always talks about those arm condoms. Question 3 on this one is, what skills actually move my pay? This generation understands earning advancement through specific measurable achievements. Map your pay progression to tangible skills, not just time served. Usually if you have double ticketed, you'll get extra pay, but not if you have it's pretty rare for places to pay you for if you have your confined space training or stuff like that. It's it's not like that. If you have dual ticketed trades, then you'll get extra pay. But what I always tell you guys, pick up as many skills as you can. If they're offering training, go and take it. Or if you think you need it, you can afford it, go and take it yourself. They don't offer Zoom Boom training or telehandler training where I'm at. So I'm just thinking of going and paying for it myself. So I have my telehandler ticket. Just stuff. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $180 or something for the day. But stuff like that is what you need to look at for yourself. Last week I went to confined space training, and I learned how to do confined space. Well, it was a refresher because I've done it for the past 20 years. I've done confined space every 3 years for the last 21 years. So, yeah, it was a refresher, and I got to do it again, and they put you in a trailer in the dark so you can't see anything, and you find your way through a maze. It's pretty good. A lot of people freak out because they're in the dark and they can't see anything, but you just keep calm and work your way through, and you do okay. But you got a pack on your back. You're breathing you have an SCBA. You're breathing. You're not running out of air. You have to be calm, otherwise you're going to use up all your air. And then next week, or is it the week after? Anyway, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be doing overhead crane and rigging. So that'll be another refresher for me because I've operated an overhead gantry crane and a rough terrain crane, just an 8.5 ton rough terrain crane. And I've done a lot of rigging, so I'm very knowledgeable in that too. So, but it's just a refresher. Every 3 years is pretty much when you have to go and refresh your tickets. Confined Space 9? No! Not Confined Space 9. You're reading a book about Willis Augustus Lee, Admiral from World War II. I don't think I've heard of that fella. After a battle, the lights stayed off for evading Japanese submarines. Yeah, you'd have to. As soon as they see a light, that's it. So like I said, fellas, gather up as many skills as you can. Everybody laughs at forklift. Ha ha ha, forklift certified. But yeah, get forklift certified. It's a start. It's a foot in the door. You can get that. And then go from there. And then don't just be a forklift driver. Be a proper operator. 0 accidents. Drive safely. Don't speed. All that stuff. Take care as a forklift operator. Be known for the guy that's slow and steady and does a good job. Don't go be the guy that's ripping around and destroying things. Okay, the crew had to go to confined spaces, use touch to find things. Yep, that's what we had to do. We had to go through the trailer and do that. Sometimes coming across people parts in said space. Oh, yeah. Ugh. That'll traumatize you. It was Willie's Augustus Ching Lee is super cool. Check out the Angry Electrician video if you get time. That sounds good, DJ. Right on, man. Angry Electrician. What if we should have him on the show? I don't know. Maybe if he's too angry. Anyways, let's get back to here. Question number 4, what does success look like after 12 months? I mean, you're at a company for a year. Your success is that you've been there for a year and you're not fired. And, you haven't caused any damages. Yeah, what can strong first-year apprentice do that day one, that day one hire can't? What tools can they run? Give them a vision of competence, not just tenure. Yeah, and I would be like that too. So you've been here for a year. What can you operate? What can you do? Don't you mean fat electrician? He's way too big a YouTuber these days. Okay, so he's too big to come on my show, I'm sure. Because there's guys like that. They won't bother if you're just a tiny channel. And believe me, guys, I'm a tiny channel. Last question. What's the next step if I do well? If there's no visible step, foreman, estimator, project manager, business owner, the best candidates will find an employer who can show them one. I mean, the next step will be taking over for me when I retire. That would be the thing. I've looked at it and I don't want to be in management. I don't want to be a foreman or an estimator. I don't want to be a project manager because you need to have that stupid engineering ring, at least in my company. So, yeah, just be the best darn maintenance guy you can be, or electrician or welder. Just do that. And, yeah. That's the next step. What you did Saturday? He has 2.2 million subs. Oy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm ashamed to look at my subs. I haven't even made it to 1,000 yet. I was trying to. And we got some new people coming in, but yeah, just kind of stalled. We'll keep plugging away at it, though. Eventually people will make their way over. What clarity actually sounds like? I call it a 10-second career path, simple enough to explain, and the time it takes a skeptical 19-year-old to decide whether they're interested or moving on. Here's what it sounds like when a contractor gets it right. You start as a helper making $19 an hour or learning installs. By year 2, you're running a small service calls at $24 an hour. By year 4, our top techs clear $80K plus and train apprentices. After that, you can move into lead tech, estimator, or project manager. I spoke with a mechanical contractor last year who was losing apprentices within 6 months. He didn't overhaul pay or benefits. He wrote a 3-year path on one page, roles, skills, pay ranges, and started sharing it during onboarding. Didn't fix everything, but new hires who stayed told him the same thing. They finally knew what they were working towards. That's the shift. No jargon, no empty promises. And when you can tell them who's going to mentor them through the first year, you've answered the questions most employers don't even think to address. This doesn't require an HR department or a branding campaign. It's an hour with a whiteboard. Write down what you already know and be willing to say it out loud. Even in companies where a path isn't perfectly linear, and most aren't, having something to point to is better than having nothing. If you can't clearly explain the first 3 years of a trade's career in your company, you're not just competing for talent, you're quietly losing to the companies that can. Okay. Well, as time going along here, let's skip by these other ones here. And let's see. Yeah, let's go for accident investigation. Yes, it's accident time, and this one starts out, worker suffers fatal injuries after being struck by a reversing crew truck. This is just terrible. A worker suffered fatal injuries from being struck by a reversing crew truck. All right, let's hear some background information. The Fort Hills oil sands mining and processing operation, located approximately 90 kilometers north of Fort McMurray, was jointly owned through the Fort Hills Energy Corporation, which consisted of 3 limited partners, our co-owners, Suncor Energy Incorporated, Tech Resources, and Total E&P Canada. Construction of Fort Hills began in October 2013, with oil production commencing in January 2018. Fort Hills was capable of processing 14,500 tons of oil sand per hour and average production of 31,955 barrels of bitumen per day. The prime contractor was Suncor Energy Services, was an affiliate business unit of Suncor Energy that was overseeing execution of work at the Fort Hills work site. Suncor Energy Services was an energy company with head offices in Calgary, Alberta. Beginning commercial development of Canada's oil sands in 1967, Suncor Energy Services was a global energy company that extracted and upgraded oil sands and produced refined oil and gas products for industrial, commercial, and retail customers. They employed approximately 12,500 people company-wide and approximately 1,150 workers at the Fort Hills oil sands mining and processing worksite. The employer of the deceased worker, Ledcor Pipe and Infrastructure, was a subsidiary of Ledcor Site Services and responsible for execution of the hydro transport and tailings pipeline maintenance at the Fort Hills site, in accordance with a contract between Suncor and Ledcor. The lead hand was the operator of the Ford F-350 crew truck that reversed over the deceased worker. The lead hand had been employed by Ledcor Pipe and Infrastructure for approximately 2 years and had a valid Class 5 British Columbia driver's license. The lead hand had completed employer-provided training on light-duty vehicle operation, light-duty trailer operation, spotter safety, loader, skid steer, and dozer operation. Additionally, the lead hand had received employer safety training for supervisors, Oil Sands Safety Association, Basic Safety Orientation, Worksite Specific Safety Orientation, Alberta Construction Safety Association, Construction Safety Training System, and Suncor Fort Hills Mine Driving Training. So he had a lot of training. Whether he paid attention or not, that's to be remained to be seen. Pipefitter number 1 had been employed by Ledcor at the worksite for approximately 7.5 months. Okay, not even a year. And was registered as an apprentice steam fitter, pipe fitter in Newfoundland, Labrador, commencing in April 2015. Pipefitter 1 had employer Ledcor provided training on light-duty vehicle operation, light-duty trailer operation, spotter safety, had been put through a new employee mentorship program. Additionally, Pipefitter 1 had training that included OSA, Basic Safety Orientation, Worksite Specific Safety Orientation, the ACSA CSTS 9 course, and Suncor Fort Hills Mine Drive training. Okay, so he's got it. Pipefitter 2, the deceased worker, had employed by Ledcor Pipe and Infrastructure at the worksite for approximately 7.5 months. And was registered as an apprentice steam fitter, pipe fitter in Newfoundland, Labrador, commencing in June 2015. Ledcor provided training on light-duty vehicle operation, light-duty trailer operation, spotter safety, put through the employee mentorship program, training in OSA Basic Safety Orientation. So he had all the training as well. There was the side boom operator, SBO1, had been employed by Ledcor at the worksite for approximately 3 months, and had approximately 25 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. This included pipeline bolt-up work and heavy equipment operation. Side boom operator 1 had employer Ledcor provided training for light duty, vehicle operation, pipe layers, also known as side boom crane, loader and dozer operation. Additionally, had received OSA Basic Safety Orientation, Worksite Specific Safety Orientation, completed ACSA CSTS. Side boom operator 2 had been employed by Ledcor at the worksite for 1 year and 2 months and had approximately 3 years of prior experience in the construction industry. SBO2 had employer-provided training on light-duty vehicles, spotter safety, new and industry mentorship program, additional employer training, pipe layers, loader and skid steer, completed the OSA basic. So they've got all the training. And you need that up in the oil sands because things are so dangerous, deadly. Things are so big, they can squish you like nothing, and they won't even know they've done it. So that's why there is so much training for the oil sands. The work site, Suncor Fort Hills, located 87 kilometers north of Fort McMurray, open pit mine, capable of sustaining production of 14,500 of oil sand per hour. Okay, there's the site. Overview of the satellite image of the site. Okay. Here's the work area where the incident occurred. Point F in the satellite image. Point F. Where is that? Point EF. Okay, so right there. Right there. Point F. There's what it looks like. There's the pipe layers. Right here, these machines. Hey, Veritex, how you doing? Pretty large site? Yes, you bet it is, buddy. These places are never small. Like, that's a satellite image. That's huge, huge area to cover. But yes, there's the pipe layers. Here's the vehicle involved in the accident. 2019 Ford F-350 Super Duty crew cab with aftermarket flat deck. Shows the front view of the truck involved in the incident, as left by the Wood Buffalo RCMP following completion of their scene investigation. Yeah, when there's an accident, not allowed to move anything. There's a side view of it. There's the rear of it. Okay, the sequence of events. I want to know how this guy got backed over. The workday began with a foreman morning toolbox meeting at approximately 5:30 a.m. at the Ledcor office, commonly referred to as the upper bench. At the meeting, the lead hand for Ledcor crew was designated by the Ledcor superintendent as the supervisor responsible for the day and would be driving the foreman's crew truck. Ledcor Unit 13898. The foreman for Crew C had gone home one day early from the current 14-day shift, which was on its last working day before scheduled days off. SBO1 was assigned to Crew C at that time for the remaining day's work. All members of the crew were scheduled to depart the work site at the conclusion of the workday for 7 days off. So these guys worked 14 and 7. That's brutal. 14 days straight and then 7 days off. Ugh. And they're probably 12-hour days too. At 6 a.m., all Ledcor work crews assembled at the upper bench for their morning toolbox meeting. All foremen briefed their crews on assigned work for the day and identified their crew toolbox meeting locations in front of everyone present. Safety-related topics for the day were also communicated. At 6:20, Crew C conducted a follow-up toolbox meeting in the upper bench parking lot. The plan for the day's work was discussed in further detail. No safety concerns were expressed by the crew for the day's work at that time. Following the meeting, members of Crew C dispersed to assemble necessary tools, materials, and equipment. PF1, who was driving the Ledcor crew truck, drove to the laydown warehouse in order to obtain tools needed for the day's work, with 2 workers, Worker 1, Worker 2, who had been assigned to Crew C. Tools obtained at the laydown warehouse included an impact gun, airline hose, and wrenches. At 7:20, PF1 initiated a field level hazard assessment for the installation of pipe and components on final tailings line 2. From pedestal 6 to 7. Ledcor truck sounds French. Ledcor, eh? Let's see what happens here now. All the guys, SBO1, 2, W1, W2, PF1, PF2, and the lead hand all signed on the FLHA. Initiated by PF1 between 7:30 and 7:40. At this point, Pipe Fitter 2 drove Side Boom 1 and 2 to their side boom cranes located at PED 11 laydown area and Ledcor crew truck unit 13777. Side Boom 1 and 2 completed inspections of their side boom cranes and moved them to the work face for the day. At 8:05, the lead hand drove to the Ledcor permit office and obtained a cold safe work permit for removal of a 28-inch blind in the area of PED 6 on FTL2. At 9:10 a.m., the lead hand prepared the FLHA for a blind removal work to be completed in accordance with the recently obtained cold safe work permit. Workers involved in this task signed on the FLHA at approximately 9:30 a.m., and this task was completed at approximately 10:07. Upon completion, the lead hand returned to the Suncor permit office to close out the permit for removal of the blind. At 10:20, while still at the Suncor permit office to close out the blind removal permit, the lead hand obtained a new Suncor cold safe work permit for the connection of the FTL2 into PED7. This task was part of the work identified in the FLHA prepared by PF1 at 7:20 a.m. At 11 a.m., all workers who had signed on the FLHA initiated by PF1 at 7:20 a.m. signed on to it again. All members of Crew C that had not been involved in the blind removal work between 9:30 to 10 and were waiting until this point to begin the FTL2 connection work. At 12:30 p.m., the crew had completed 2 bolt-up connections on FTL2 and took their lunch break for approximately 30 minutes. At approximately 1:23 p.m., the lead hand departed the PED 6 to 7 workface in crew truck 13898 with worker 1 and 2 to transport them to the upper bench office. Prior to departure, PF1 was assigned as the competent designate supervisor at the workface by the lead hand in lead hand's absence until approximately 2:30. While en route to the upper bench office, the lead hand was required to return towards the PED 6-7 workface and meet PF2, who was driving lead core crew truck 1377. Gaskets and studs required at the workface had been forgotten in back of the lead hand cruise truck and needed to be transferred to PF2. Once complete, the lead hand proceeded to transport worker 1 and 2 to the Suncor permit office so they could remove their lockout-tagout locks from the lockbox associated with work. At 1:57 p.m., the lead hand dropped worker 1 and 2 off at the upper bench where both workers were laid off by Leadcore. At 2:30, the lead hand traveled back to PED 6 and 7 workface and checked in with Crew C to ascertain the status of the bolt-up work. At 2:49, the lead hand departed Crew C's location and traveled south in their crew truck to assess some remaining work along FTL2. A text message update was sent to the Leadcore superintendent by the lead hand containing details of work completed on the line and work remaining. The lead hand then returned to the location of Crew C, who were finishing a Victaulic clamp bolt-up on FTL2. The lead hand drove up to the side boom crane being operated by SBO1 and parked perpendicular to FTL2, facing the side boom north. At the distance, lead hand was confident that SBO1 could observe them. The lead hand dismounted their crew truck and met with Crew C to discuss work process. It was decided the crew would clean up at the connection and move south along FTL2 to the next connection to be bolted up, and then take their afternoon coffee break at that location. Lead hand was required to move their crew truck in order for the side boom cranes to move south along FTL2 to the next connection point. PF2, who had been working with SBO1, was no longer needed at the current line connection point and began walking south with the lead hand, parallel to FTL2 and away from SBO1's side boom crane. The lead hand and PF2 were casually conversing as they walked south together. The lead hand mounted their crew truck to move it from the path of the side boom cranes, and PF2 continued to walk south towards the next line connection point. The lead hand intended to back their truck away from SBO1's side boom crane in the southwestern direction, and then advance to the opposite west side of the FTL2 road and repark. At 3:05, the lead hand honked their horn twice, checked their rear-facing mirrors, and not seeing any obstructions or PF2 proceeded to reverse their vehicle, driving over PF2. The lead hand continued to back up in a southwest direction until they observed PF2 lying on the ground in front of their crew truck. Upon observing PF2 on the ground, the lead hand immediately stopped their crew truck, dismounted, and went to where the PF2 was laying. You're driving an F-350. You should feel that when you've run over someone, even if it's their legs, you should feel a bump or something. At 3:07, the lead hand called Suncor Emergency Services and the Leadcore General Foreman to report the incident. Concurrently, SBO2 and PF1, who were cleaning up air tools and line between SBO1 and SDU side boom cranes, observed the lead hand outside of their crew truck on the phone, no hard hat, and ran to their location. Also at that time, SBO2, who had been in the process of retracting their crane boom in order to begin movement south, observed PF2 lying on the ground. And then the lead hand outside of their truck. SBO2 immediately dismounted their side boom crane and provided first aid. PF2 was unconscious and unresponsive. The lead hand gave instructions to PF1 to drive to meet emergency services at mine entry point B, which was the location of emergency meeting point 29 in the Suncor Fort Hills Emergency Preparedness Plan. SBO2 proceeded to move the crew truck with the air trailer parked between the side boom cranes in order to clear the roadway for arrival of emergency services. While this was occurring, SBO1 remained with PF2 and provided what assistance they could based upon the extent of injuries observed. Yeah, DJ, thud, bump, built Ford tough. I mean, yeah, you'd think you'd feel something. What was he doing behind there anyway? Also, if the guy doesn't see, when you're in the truck and you don't see where somebody is, don't move. At approximately 3:25 p.m., Suncor Emergency Service arrived at the incident location and attempted resuscitation of PF2. PF2 was evacuated to the medical center where resuscitation efforts continued. At 4:18 p.m., PF2 was pronounced deceased at the Suncor Medical Center. At 4:47 p.m., the Suncor Energy notified the RCMP of the fatality incident. Members of the RCMP detachment responded to the worksite and commenced investigation. At 4:57, Suncor Energy notified Alberta Occupational Health and Safety of the fatality incident, at which time Alberta AOHNS investigation commenced. At 10:25 p.m., investigation activities at the worksite were completed by the Wood Buffalo RCMP, and incident scene turned over to Alberta OHS, who continued investigation. A review of enforcement action was completed, and it was determined that the file would be referred to Alberta Justice for review. The entire file was sent to Alberta Justice. After a thorough review, Alberta Justice advised Alberta OHS on March 29, 2021, charges were not recommended. So, the guy got backed over by this truck. I don't know what he was doing behind there. Like, if you know somebody's got a vehicle running, and if the guy's honked his horn like he said he did, and on these sites they're very strict with rules. Like, they'll kick you off for like not wearing safety glasses or a hard hat or something. They're very strict. So he says he started up his truck and he was going to reverse, so he honked twice. The pipe fitter should have gotten out of the way. Like, what was he doing behind there in the first place? I can't tell you. This seems a bit strange to me that... And these things will have backup alarms and everything like that. They should anyway. It's exactly for this reason people getting hurt on these oil sand sites that they have such strict rules. And these guys had to fill out so many field level hazard assessments and sign on to them. But yeah, that's terrible. So the guy got backed over. The takeaway from this, guys, should be don't hang out behind trucks when they're running. Always, when you're driving the truck, always look around 360 degrees and be careful when backing up. This thing probably should have had a camera or some kind of detection device to see if people were in the blind spots or behind the truck. I mean, you should be able to get stuff like that. It was a 2019. This was in 2019, and it was a 2019 truck, so brand new. So I would say driver is at fault, but also the guy that got run over. Make sure you are not around. They had just talked to each other. The pipe fitter should have known what the lead hand was doing. You know, if they were talking, the lead hand's getting in his truck. Okay, he's going to back up and drive away. So stay away. Stay away from the truck. Don't go near it. You know? Just a second there, fellas. Anyway. Yeah. Once again, any being hurt on the job site or fatality on the job site, terrible. Should never have happened. This should have been something that didn't happen. Both guys should have been aware. The driver of the truck, look and see where that guy was. You were just talking to him. It says they were talking to each other. Let's see here. The lead hand and pipefitter 2 were casually conversing as they walked south together. So yeah, they were talking as they were walking. Lead hand got in their crew truck to move from the path of the side boom cranes. And pipefitter continued to walk south towards the next line connection point. The lead hand intended to back their truck away in a southwestern direction and then advance to the opposite side. The lead hand honked their horn twice, checked the rear-facing mirrors, and not seeing any obstructions or pipefitter 2 proceeded to reverse their vehicle, driving over pipefitter number 2. So he honked his horn, and then he backed up and drove over the guy. And he continued to back up until he observed the pipefitter lying on the ground in front of their crew. So he not only got him with the back wheels, but the front as well. Then he stopped, dismounted, and he saw where he was laying. So, yeah, that's that's terrible. And I know it was the last day of their shift. They're getting towards the they're getting towards the latter part of it. But mind on your job. Don't be distracted. Don't daydream. You're in a busy site, and oil sands place. You should have your head on a swivel because you can get smushed easily by the stuff that moves around there. So this is an unfortunate accident that happened, but these guys should have watched out, especially the pipe fitter. You just talked to your lead hand. You knew what he was going to do. You knew he was getting in the truck, and you knew he was going to drive away. What were you doing behind the truck? And then he honked the horn, and you didn't get out of the way. You knew he was starting it up. If a truck starts up, even if I stop to tie my shoe or something like that, I'm standing up and I'm getting out of the way. As soon as that truck starts. I don't even wait for the horn to sound or anything like that. Get up, get out of the way. Don't stand behind it. All right. Well, that's an unfortunate one, but that's something that happens on the oil sands. They have a very high accident rate on the oil sands. It's pretty crazy. I'm glad I don't have to work up there because it would be quite the craziness. And it's also out in the middle of nowhere. You're staying in camp and you're working 14 days on and 7 off. No thanks. I do not want that. There's also guys that work 21 and 7. No thanks. I don't want to work those stupid hours. They're probably 12-hour days. You're just beat. It's like you've gone 10 rounds with the champ. After 14 days straight of working 12-hour days, you're just a zombie. Good for young guys, not us older fellas. But yeah, let's move along to something a little better, eh? Let's do some picture time. Hey, it's picture time. It's picture time. Also, I have a new background for you to guess. A new background. Can anyone tell me what show this character is from? This is it. This is for the new Guess the Background. Let's see here. Find that and that. Move over here. There we go. No? Nobody yet? Not Team Rocket there, DJ. It's a fun one. I really liked it. Very enjoyable. But you gotta guess where that's from. All you got is Pokemon. No Pokemon. All right, let's see here. All right, so this video I've got today ties in with the title of the stream. The title of the stream is, of course, Anchor It. And Hoop Stars, nope. Let's have a look here at this. That's not right. That pump is deemed out. This railing is not secured very well. Let's have a look here. Diesel is actually fascinating for its properties and use. Yeah, it is. There's the diesel pump shut off. There's an extinguisher that's hooked onto that railing. That anchor doesn't look very good. Oh, there we go. I pulled it right out of the ground. No, we'll just put that back. So there you go. So, guess what old Pop has to do? I have to, well, I'm going to remove that entire railing, take it back to the shop. Is that rusty cylinder a pump or a tank? So this rusty tank over here is the old diesel tank. We don't use it anymore. It's decommissioned. You're talking about this one on the far right here. The new one is right here, painted white. That's the new diesel tank. Yeah, the old one, decommissioned. It's just a matter of purging it and getting it sent away. But this, the big one, this big one here, this is an empty vessel as well. It is not used anymore either. Yeah, you're talking about the vertical thing? This guy. This guy is not used anymore. We don't put anything into it. It's actually got the ladder's actually red taped off and tagged. No entrance. So we don't use it anymore. The thing I'm concentrating on is the railing. The railing needs to be secured better. It is not. It is not secured. It is supposed to not move when you push on it. But as you can see, as I lift it up here, it is not secured properly. It shakes side to side. It moves up and down. It needs better. I'm going to make better foot pads for it. I'm going to cut off these because they're very thin, and I'm going to add new ones. I'm going to weld on some new foot pads. Water ingress. I don't know whether it's frost heaving or not. Yeah, exactly. Frost heaving probably. But it needs deeper anchors into the ground. It is not done well. Let's see here. Kind of shake it a bit. And then, yeah, that came out way too easy. So there you go. That's going to be one of my projects that I will keep you updated on. Will be the reconditioning of the railing there and the securement of it. I'm going to make sure I anchor it properly into the ground so that it's a lot stronger than it is now. Because right now, it's a hazard. It's not doing its job, and if you push on it, it'll probably fall right over. It's Canada. Cooler than New York City and New York State. And it gets cold here. I would have to say, DJ, that yours will be a wet cold. Whereas in the part where I live, it's a very dry cold. You get a lot of static. And it's a little better when you go outside. As long as the wind's not blowing, things are okay. But when the wind picks up, cuts through you like a knife. But at least it's not a wet cold, which would really, really give you the deep freeze. Bit on frost heaving, but if you identify another casual factor, I'd be truly curious. I mean, yeah. I mean, it could be also whoever installed it before me. Improper installation. Like I have to put the holes in different spots now. Because when I cut those feet off, I'm going to put new ones on, and I don't want the holes in the same spot. I'll change them. I'll put them opposite so that fresh new holes, so we can drill in there and put in the anchor bolts, and that'll anchor it down. But yes, I'm going to make it a little better than it is now. And that's the way to do maintenance. Maintenance, you always want to, you should try to make things better. Don't just do replacement in kind. If you can see an opportunity for improvement and making it better, whether it's stronger or whether it's better designed, or you've added something to it to make it a better operation, do that. Don't be afraid to make things better, because it's only going to help you in the long run. Now, when I do this and I secure it to the ground, I won't have to touch this thing for, 10 years or until somebody runs into it, which could happen as well. You get the occasional numbskull that decides they're going to drive the skid steer into it or whatever. So that's unforeseen. But until then, I can make it so that it's better than it is now. So we'll have before. We got our before shots, and later on, when I'm doing the job, I'll get some shots, and you guys can see the after of what it looks like. Yeah, as you can see, I'm giving it trying to shake it to show you that it's just moving all over the place. That's unbelievable how shallow that is. That's not something that should be all fours. So yeah, that's what needs to be anchored, and it's important. If you're going to do a job, do it right, because it's going to well, first of all, it'll reflect on what you do, Because people are always watching and they're always ready to comment if your job is substandard. So you try to do your job the best of your ability. Make sure that it's something you can be proud of. And, it shows people that you're a professional. If you were the guy at the switch factory, you'd abbreviate it as horrors. Yes. Actually, let's see that one again. You were talking about the diesel shutoff? Let's see here. Let's see if we can find it here. There we go. Yeah, where was... We got a shot of the... diesel tank. Diesel pump emergency shutoff. Here, and I should get a shot of that switch too, the diesel switch. Yeah, diesel tank pump shutoff. Oh. Yeah. It's French. It's French, DJ. On is en and off is hors. So this is French. That's why you see the hors on there. Because in Canada, we have two official languages. One is French and the other is English. So that's why it says that. You see the flag too. Yeah, the little maple leaf. Yep. Because it was made in Canada. Eh? We like to make our stuff here and make sure we use it because it got two languages. I am going to have to remove this fire extinguisher until I bring this back. So I'll take the fire extinguisher off and I'll get the electrician to remove this this switch, this box off of here. Boom, la boom. But yeah, I'll take the sign off, I think, and take the switch off, and then take the extinguisher off, take this whole railing back to the shop, and straighten it out, pieces that are bent, and maybe give it a paint, because it's all rusted and it's blue, and really it should be yellow, so it's high vis yellow. So I'll clean that up and paint it, straighten everything out, put new feet on the bottom. I've already got some cut. How long will a new bolt be? I was going to use some 4-inch anchor bolts. I can always get longer, but 4 inches should be good enough to go into the ground. Then I should be able to have a Hilti, like a rotary hammer drill that I can drill into the concrete and drop the anchors in and tighten them down. It should hold it fast. That's my plan anyway. You're always trying to plan out the job, and it looks like this will come off easy. These are just held on by some U-bolts. Yes, DJ, high vis yellow, you betcha. It's easier to see. This blue and rust is no good. No good. You got to use something that's a little higher vis, high visibility. And yeah, looks like that sign will come off with a couple of wrenches. Take that off with a couple of wrenches. Take off the fire extinguisher with a couple of wrenches. And then taking out of the ground, we'll just take a couple of wrenches, it looks like. I'm going to use 1/2-inch anchor bolts, which should be plenty. Might put more U-bolts on your ceiling studs for storage. That's okay. Yeah, you get some good quality U-bolts. You're going to hang just about anything from them. Yeah, that's no good. I'm going to do a much better job, and I will keep you guys updated on the progress that I make. So I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. Also, I still don't have any guesses for my, well, DJ's put some guesses in, but it's not Pokemon. So just make sure you guys get your guesses in. You can either contact me on Twitter, or X as they call it now, or if you're in my Discord, just drop me a line in my Discord. Tell me what your guess is. This is going to stay up until somebody gets it. You guys have been getting you've been getting some pretty easy ones. Now I decided to switch it up and dig into my repertoire of anime shows. To be like, okay, now who knows this? Is that a powdery fire extinguisher? It's probably a Class C, DJ. And we can leave them outside. Yeah, they'll still be okay to leave outside. They get checked every year. And if there's something wrong with them, our fire extinguisher contractor will take them away and replace them. So yeah, they are good for outside, believe it or not. Well, all right, I'm just going to start wrapping it up here. If you're on YouTube, everybody that's on YouTube, can you hit that like button, please? Or if you're on Rumble, hit that like button. On Kick and Twitch, I don't know, just follow me. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that comes by and has a chat and asks the questions. Can Reggie answer? Of course Reggie can answer. If he's got a guess. Yes. So, make sure you guys have subscribed. Tell your friends. Spread the word. Let them know old Pop's here. I stream Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. So coming up for me, Saturday, Retro Game Day, I am getting towards the end of Odin Sphere. I have to go through Armageddon, though. So it's me battling giant bosses. I've managed to take care of 2. I've got 3 more to go. So stop on by Saturday at 9 a.m. and see how I do here. So that's what's happening on Saturday. More Odin Sphere. We're getting towards the end game here. I can't wait. Reggie here. You can't identify the exact show from the image alone. What you can say is it looks like a 90s era anime cell, probably from a comedy, slice of life, or sci-fi adjacent series. The art style has a bright, exaggerated 80s to 90s OVA feel. Yeah, you're in the right era there, DJ. What do I pay Reggie for again? Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, Reggie. Get it right. Well, nice try, DJ. Nice try, Reggie. It'll still be up here. I'll wait and see who gets it this time. Maybe I've picked too hard of a one. Oh, and on Sunday now, because Saturday is Retro Game Day. Sunday is a new theme for a new month. It's going to be April. I got to figure out a new theme for April. What are we doing? What are we doing for April? March is gone with March Movie Mayhem, which was just all anime movies. And now it's going to be April. I'll come up with something interesting. We'll pick a new theme for the month, and we'll go with that for April. And that's happening on Sunday. And then we're back to Tuesday again. More trades talk, more learning about the skilled trades, more seeing what's going on in the industrial world, and more pictures, videos, and accident investigations are going on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. But when I'm not streaming, you should check out people like Pacific 4 or DJ Ronnie G, who is in the chat. He has his Monday show on Thursday. If you like turtles and tech and astronomy, pop in and see DJ Ronnie G. You're always in for a fun time. There's also Brandon the Anime Guy. There's Carl at the RNG Podcast. Whoopa Troopa, who does his Whoopa Wednesdays. If you like a nice chill stream, tune into Whoopa. You'll have a good time. There's also the Comic Relief Crusader, who I believe is streaming right now his Titillating Tuesdays. He's a fellow Albertan, a fellow streamer, a fellow patriot. He streams on Saturdays and Sundays as well. On Saturdays, he does his movie matinee, where he picks an old movie that's in the public domain and he plays it on his channel. And it's a great time for everybody. There's also on his Sunday show, which is called Huge Circles, where he does his drawing for his comic book. He's just making a comic book. He's drawing it. And you have a good time. He talks to people from the comic book industry on his show. Whoopa does Wednesdays. Yes, he does, DJ. You got Whoopa Wednesday. He's been doing some chill gaming on Wednesday. It's been pretty good. Yeah, no problem. I missed those too, actually. When he said he was coming back and doing it, I was like, yeah, right on. I'm going to tune in. And yeah, Whoopa Wednesdays. Fun stuff. There's also Infinite Metal on Kick and Twitch. I always have a good laugh when I'm watching Infinite Metal. He's probably streaming right now too over on Kick and Twitch, and he has an undead dragon lord that mocks and ridicules him, which is half the fun. The other half of the fun is watching him work his way through some of these games he's playing, some of these retro games. It's fun stuff. It's great. Infinite's a good guy. And a VTuber that I know is Call Me Kixie. She is great to watch. Very fun and family friendly, warm and welcoming. You know, you always go there and she's showing some indie games and it's like, wow, she's showing us so many indie games that are so interesting and fun to play. So I always have a good time watching Call Me Kixie on Saturdays. She streams for like 6 hours. So you're bound to see her. Holy crap, did he stream 5 days ago? He did, DJ. He really did. Good old Whoopa. He's back on the scene. We get to hang out with Comrade Leader. But that's everybody. Go check those other people out. They're great people. At least I think so. That's going to be it for me tonight, everyone. I had a fun time, and I hope you did as well. And I hope to see you guys the next time I'm streaming, which will be on Saturday and Sunday. If not then, stop by on Tuesdays. And to all of those guys watching the replay, you're awesome. I'm so happy that you do. People like Fabric Folds or Comic Relief Crusader, anybody else that tunes in after I'm done. I appreciate you guys. And, of course, the guys that were here with me live, you know. Godzillionaire, DJ Ronnie G, Veritax. Sometimes Alex Moore shows up. I am very grateful and appreciative. You guys are awesome. And I hope to see you guys the next time. But until then, I've been Pop, and I am signing off.